It's Tulip Tuesday. Actually, it's Wednesday. See, that week, I tell you, with this Christmas
we're talking about Tulip Tuesday.
I know, that's why. And this week has just gone so fast. And Christmas, it's what, next week? Isn't that right? We were talking about that, Marisa. It's I can't believe it. Yeah. I hope you guys have your Christmas shopping done. My shopping is done. My wrapping is not. And neither is my shipping. So if you are family and very close friends listening, it might be a Happy New Year present. Oh, so glad that you're joining us today. Whatever day this is. This is Wednesday. This is Facebook Live. I'm Teacher Michelle. We're talking Christmas. We've got some fun things. At least I hope you think they're fun. Lots of sparkle, because, that's in my wheelhouse. I like the glitter. Lots of good stuff. So housekeeping, if you don't like the comments laying over the video, swipe them off to the side. If you're on your phone, turn it sideways. That way you can get a bigger picture. I think that's it. We've got a Spartan crew here today. We've got Parker running tech, and we've got Marisa on Facebook. And Parker, are you going to be on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he's out there on YouTube along with Carolyn. Hi, we miss you. And Susie, who's going to be on YouTube as well. And I think Leanne is out there somewhere also. So Caledonia is there. I'm not sure where everybody is today or what they're doing, but we're all in different places together. However that works. So let's get started. So the first design, what I wanted to do was just your classic oval evergreen centerpiece. We see them all the time. Maybe this one has a new twist for you. Who knows? Maybe it's just pretty flowers in a container. You can tell me when we're done. I do want to include candles in this design. And a couple things about working with candles. Right now in the studio, it's about 50 degrees, so I'm super happy. Parker and Marisa are bundled up for winter. However, working with candles, when you go to secure them in an arrangement, you could use a little candle pick that allows you to place this into the foam and then place the candle into it. I feel like saying Silent Night, Holy Night now, holding that candle. That's an option. Another option is to take your candle and your design knife and just bevel the cuts on it so you end up with a wedge shape on the end. That way you can stab it directly into the foam. The reason you would do that is it keeps the candle from spinning once it's in there. Sometimes I have a candle holder on one and two stuff shoved straight into the foam on the other two. Just depends on if I had these or if I ran out. We do have these in stock, so if you are running low on these, we have a lot of them. Another little candle trick is quite often I see them delivered with the plastic still on the candle. If you're in a retail florist environment, you can weigh in on what your opinion is. Mine is it makes your design look cheap because it looks like plastic. Marisa, how about you? When you've done a candle design, do you take your wrapper off before, or do you send them out with the candles in their little sleeves?
Yeah, we would keep the plastic on.
Okay. It's a Coke Pepsi thing, maybe. For me, I like to take them off. I just think it looks prettier that way. Sometimes when your candles have been in their little plastic wrappers and that stored that way for quite a while, when you take the wrapper off, sometimes you'll notice there are dull areas and shiny areas. It's hard to see that right now, but you can still buy them. You can get knee-high hose or full-on pantyhose, but just taking a nylon stocking, a pantyhose, and gently rubbing over the candle with that helps buff out any scratches that you might have on it. If you work with pillar candles a lot, that's a great tip because those always seem to get bunged around. But that's a great way just to buff them off. And then they have a nice soft sheen to them that's pretty consistent and also buffs out some scratches. So there's a tip for you today. So with this design, like I said, I'm going to do kind of an oval centerpiece. Can't decide if I want to use the candle holder or just stick the thing in. So you know what? We're going to do both. How's that? So I'm going to center my tall candle and place that holder in. I'm working with the Oasis Max Life foam in black for a couple reasons. One, my container is black, and that black foam just really disappears when I'm designing. And two, it really does give you excellent vase life. Some people find that they have as long, if not longer, than in water. And it's also a moderately biodegradable product. Usually after a little over 500 days, it does break down. So a good rule of thumb is a couple fingers in between your candles. Mine are at different heights. My candles are crooked. But just giving a little spacing. Your fingers might be different than mine, but that gives me a little bit of balance there. He does not want to stay straight, but for now he'll work. So while I grab some foliages, what's going on out there, people?
I think Facebook is still having some trouble, so we're trying to get people to come over to YouTube to check it out.
Okay.
They're having some server problems today.
Okay, so if you are trying to get on Facebook and you can maybe hear this or read sign language, go to YouTube. Good.
No, I'm trying to think. I just posted on the Floral Design Institute page to tell everybody to go over there, but I'm trying to think if there's anywhere else I could do that.
Caledonia's linking it too. So.
Awesome.
Okay, good. Thanks, Caledonia. Wherever you are.
So I will go over we'll just all be on YouTube today.
There you go. Migrate on over. We can. Those of you that tough it out on Facebook, will try and catch up with you in the prickly little foliage.
Oh, that stuff is.
Bad words. Is this that's one of the cedars?
Yeah.
I believe it's absolutely gorgeous. If you go with the grain, with the prickles, it's quite lovely. But if you get sideways of it, yeah, like I said, bad words. It's not a finger-friendly foliage, and I may not be using it except for one more piece. All right, so I've got a little bit of that in. We're going to move on to something different for the moment. I have some lovely Douglas fir here, which has kind of that silvery gray on the back side of its needle, and then your classic evergreen coloring on the front. I don't think I need quite that large of a piece. So I have already prepped my stems on these, so I didn't have to make quite as much of a mess as I was working here. And I'll just use that Doug fir to give some more length to my design, since it's an oval or an oblong. Don't necessarily know that I'm going to end up with a full oval, but I will end up with an oblong design. A little wider on the sides, a little longer and pointier on the ends. This does have a central binding point. If you come to basic floral design, you will learn about binding points. And this is the type of design, albeit not necessarily with evergreens, but this is the type of design that you might find yourself doing on the first day of class, where we learn about round forms and oval forms and all kinds of formy forms. So since we're all on YouTube, do we have any questions from YouTubers?
Well, really quick, I was going to ask, could you talk about the difference between insertion point and binding point?
Insertion point versus binding point, yes. So let me get something to play with here. The binding point is the imaginary place in your design where all the stems appear to meet. All the stems radiate from that area. So that candle is in the center of my design, and as I place all of these other pieces of foliage, the stem is pointing towards that imaginary X that's down here in the middle. So I end up with radial placement. I have a central axis, if you will, and then like the spokes of a wheel. All of the elements that I insert into it are focused towards that. Insertion point would be, in my estimation, where I'm actually placing this stem into the foam, the point of insertion. And that material is aimed to the binding point, but that insertion point is where I'm sticking the material in itself. So hopefully that clears it up a little bit. You're welcome. So I know I said or asked if everybody was done with their Christmas shopping, or please tell me you haven't just gotten started. But for those of you that are working in shops right now, what's your year been like as far as Christmas orders? Are you up from last year? If this is your first Christmas, obviously you don't really have anything to go by. But if you've done it before compared to last year, of course, last year we were still pretty much locked up. So I know a lot of people were sending flowers since they couldn't be there in person. And then my other question would be, what has been your most popular thing at Christmas? Is it wreaths? Is it centerpieces? Or are you doing fruit and gift baskets? Just kind of curious. Let's see, what other fun stuff do I have? Have some flat cedar here to play with. You know, Leanne's rule of 3, try and get 3 different foliages in there if you can. And I always like to have as many evergreens as I can sneak in there. Of course, we live in the Pacific Northwest. That's not news to any of you guys. But the variety that we have is really pretty amazing. We had some stuff in the warehouse the other day, and Leanne and I were trying to decide, well, is it juniper or is it cedar? So we got to looking it up, and it's kind of the same. They called it both things. They called it a juniper and they called it a western red cedar, and we just gave up. We just decided it was really pretty and we were going to use it. Sometimes you don't have to know what it is in order to appreciate it, is what we decided. So I'll keep filling this out a little bit. Now, I did mention that I was using the Oasis Max Life foam in here, and I did not tape it into the container because it does fit quite snugly into it, and if I tape it, I gotta hide the tape. And I figured already with the candles and everything else in there, it was impacting the real estate that I had to work with as far as available foam. What I did use in there was 2 of the anchor pins that are secured to the bottom of the container. That just keeps the foam a little more secure. I always joke in the classroom, if the arrangement, that when the foam fits snugly in the design and you decide not to tape it and the arrangement comes out, you have bigger problems with the driver than just the arrangement came out of the container. You might have had an accident or something.
So Michelle,
yeah,
it looks like, where did that post go? So Avery is up 25% in sales, only has 20,000 away to go. Wow. And then Deborah has lots and lots of centerpieces at her shop.
Oh, well, very good. Good. Avery, remind me where you are. That's fantastic that you're up. You know, last year in a lot of ways was just tough and a terrible challenge for everybody. And it was also a fabulous year for people too. Like I said, people weren't able to be with their loved ones, so they were finding that they could send flowers and things to people. I know, I'm back at this pokey outy one again, aren't I? I'm gonna regret it, but I want that nice pokey outy piece right there. I brought in some, what I thought was gonna be the really prickly one. I brought in some spruce to work with. We had to take a tree down on our property to make room for some things, and the top 15 feet of it looked like a Christmas tree, and it had all its little spruce cones on it. So that's what I'm using for my Christmas tree this year. And I had some extra trimmings, so I brought them in, but it's really prickly. However, compared to the other one, that's not so bad. It's just pitchy. So, and we all know how to take the pitch off, so we'll deal with that later. Marisa, what's up?
So Sonette has a great suggestion. Thank you, Sonette. She's saying, everyone remember to hit the like button on this video. So I can see that we have 102 people watching now and 30 likes. So
Okay.
people, let's like this video.
This
Yes.
is the flight of YouTube the whole time.
Oh, it is? I've never been over here on the YouTube side. in a
Oh
long
yeah,
time,
yeah.
so-
The YouTube people, you are vicious with that like button, and I love it. So yes, please do give us a thumbs up.
Oh, I see it going up slowly.
Very good, very good. Consider it your workout, right? You just sorry. All right, so
It
yeah.
looks like an Andrea shop. Mini Christmas trees are very popular for that shop.
Oh, mini, not
Mini.
not many as in multiple,
Yeah.
but mini as in mini. Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'm always excited and curious to hear what is popular in different regions. You know, you always think that what you do is the most popular thing ever, and doesn't necessarily mean it is. Might be popular in your world, but not someplace else. And if you're on there, what's happening down under? What's popular with you guys? Do you do a lot of Christmas table centers, or do you do you focus more on wreaths? Just curious. So I added a little bit of that huckleberry in there for some contrast. And I had a little bit of this Italian pit in there in the cooler as well. Whoops, so much for snapping him. Just adds a nice little sparkle to things, that little white edge on there. Picks up the candle a little bit, I think. Makes it look a little more unified. Unity. If you've taken basic floral design, you know what I'm talking about. It's one of the elements and principles that we cover. So what is unity, people? Those of you that are graduates, is it an element or a principle? And can you define it for me? You're like, Michelle, we're not in class, so we graduated. Well, humor me. We haven't had class for a while. I'm missing students, so humor me. If you know what it is, just type it in there. There we go. That adds a little bit more sparkle. Let's see, what else can I play with that maybe won't put pitch all over my fingers? Oh, well, this will put pitch on, but that's okay. So I also have some little tips of Ponderosa Pine. And the branches are a little obnoxious, and this is a little overscale. Oh, yeah, not so pretty. Again, scale, we learned about scale in class. So rather than try and work this whole piece in here, what I'll do, even that one, he's just kind of funky. What I will do is work with my pick machine. Oh my goodness, that makes sense. And just take, I don't know, a pinch full, however many you think you want to work with. The ends are a little bulky, so I'm going to trim those off. And then using that pick machine.
Can I just interrupt really quick?
No, you cannot. Yeah, what?
Because, so teacher Carolyn, that's clustering what Michelle is doing right now. We were talking about this today on the phone.
Very good. Yes. So I'm clustering the Ponderosa pine needles in my fingers, and then using that pick machine to put a little spike on there, which then allows me to tuck these in for a little extra something. Another texture in there. It's a different color, different hue of green. Whoops, come back here. One of the things that we also talk about in the basic program is color theory. Well, we talk about it in advanced also, but we introduce it to you in the basic program. And one of the things we talk about is color harmonies. And Christmas, traditional Christmas, is a very classic, fill in the blank, color harmony. So red and green would be your classic Christmas coloring. And what color harmony is that? I know. Sorry, Michelle. We're just here to have fun. We're not here to have a class. Marisa.
So while everyone's thinking about that one, Denver 1865 has a question about any suggestions on making Christmas arrangements looking more vintage without going overboard on like bows and stuff.
Making arrangements look more vintage.
Christmas ones.
Okay. Not sure which direction you're thinking with vintage, like old-timey or classic. So your color harmony, the color palette that you choose to work with could help with making it look more vintage. I feel that a red and green color harmony is your classic color harmony for Christmas, which could be perceived or called vintage, I suppose. Gosh, if you're thinking materials-wise, working with chrysanthemums and or maybe baby's breath or something like that as your filler might be perceived as a little more vintage than some of the more modern fillers and foliages that we work with. Marisa, what would you say could make something more vintage feeling?
Well, I almost think like what you're doing right now, but if maybe the candles were maybe like a champagne, like change the color, like more like color, those vintage colors.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, more like those moody, maybe, but it depends on what vintage way you want to go.
Right. Whether
maybe
you're thinking
adding gold.
Yep, that would work too. Sticking there. Tulips, you weigh in on that. What would you interpret vintage Christmas design to look like, and what might you suggest for that person? I have a couple Ponderosa Pine cones that I have put it's just a bamboo kitchen skewer. I was doing a lot of these, so this made sense. Onesie twosies, I would probably just twist the wire around it like I did last time and tuck it in. But what I did was I had a very fine drill bit and I just drilled up the bottom of each of them and then grabbed my bamboo skewers, dipped it into my pan melt glue and stubbed the little skewer up into the drilled hole. That gives me a really nice pick to work with. The thing I like about that more so than the wire is that wooden pick that I now have on there. Can't see what I'm doing around all the foliage. As it gets into the wet foam, it's going to swell and that will help hold it in place. So tuck a few of those cones in there.
That to me kind of even looks vintage.
Vintagey, yep, yeah. With the evergreens and the cones, kind of your classic.
Michelle,
Yeah.
Roxanne and Pamela have as you're bringing out the red and green,
yes,
we have an answer from
okay.
Roxanne and Pamela.
Let's hear it.
They said complementary.
Bingo, yes, red and green. Make sure I get the right one when I say it. We were talking about this. Red and green. Red and green are opposites on the color wheel, and they're a complementary color harmony. Very bold, very vibrant, think lots of energy, and traditional Christmas. So, look at that. Since they're in my hands, let's just tuck a couple of these bad boys in here, shall we? So I've already taken the liberty of these are actual Shatterproof Christmas ornaments. You could call them plastic if you want. I prefer to call them Shatterproof. It sounds fancier. But since I might not want to use them next year in an arrangement, I might want them back on a tree. Rather than make my attachment permanent, I've just worked with a wired wood pick threaded the wire through the crown, through the loop on the crown, and then I just twist it to tighten everything up. And then that still gives me some mobility if I wanted something to dangle or bounce a little bit. But by putting it on the wood pick, again, it holds it firmly in the arrangement because that wood is going to swell and keep that little bobble from bouncing out. So I have a couple more. Let's just tuck a few of these in here because it just wouldn't be Christmas without some sparkle, right? So anybody have thoughts or comments on their favorite Christmas design or their best sellers? We've heard from a couple people. Yes, I know that, but no other comments? Everybody's quiet today, drinking their coffee. And
No, they were all still talking about the
vintage.
the vintage.
Okay.
And then Leanne was asking them if they liked the pyramid style placement of your candles or them straight across.
Oh.
So they were answering that one.
And what is the answer?
It looks like a mix. Some like, straight across, some like that way. I like it that way.
I like it this way. I think
There's
it's
more movement, I guess.
Yeah. Keep bonking that one and he doesn't want to stay put.
I came across something. Oh, okay. So, Good Eye John, he said, "Are we hiding the design tray because it's showing?" So where you're standing, Michelle,
Yes.
where your left hand is, like down the left lower,
Uh-huh.
I think that's where, yeah, you can see some of the tray.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
let
we
me
don't
take
know.
a spin. John, thank you.
Although, are you meaning to
Well,
cover it?
it doesn't bother me, but I will happily adjust that little insertion of Italian pit to cover it up a little bit. There you go. So I love ribbon. I mean, who doesn't love ribbon? And it's coming back in style. But rather than do a big old Herkin bow and shoving it in there, what I'm doing is working with the ribbon. And how did you cut your hair by accident? Well, what I'm doing is just tucking lengths of it in. So I dovetailed the end of the ribbon here, and then I just took a hyacinth stake and tucked it into the foam. So this will give me a little more modern take on the bow. Yes, this is a traditional design by color palette and everything else, but rather, like I said, than putting that big old Herkin bow in there, just working those little bits of ribbon through. So I'll do the same thing here, just dovetail, whoopsie. Well, didn't get quite enough dovey on the tail there. But I'm just tucking the ribbon into the foam in and around my evergreen insertions and poking it into the foam with my hyacinth stake.
You don't need to leave a pick or something in there? Just doing the poke is enough to jack them in?
Yeah, it takes it down in. Now you don't want to poke so hard that you poke through your ribbon, but it tucks it down into the foam. Now, if you're working with a cotton style, which would lend to your vintage question, a cotton ribbon or something like that might wick moisture, then this might not be the optimum technique for you. But I do find if I have a lot of centerpieces to do, this can be a whole lot faster because I'm not tying a bow and tucking it in and tying off loops and tucking them in. I can just do all of the centerpieces and then spool off a length of ribbon. He just does not like that candle holder. You know what? Say goodbye to the candle holder. The two that I just shoved into the foam are doing just fine, and that other guy is not. Can you hear our furry doorbell out there? That's our foxy girl. Well, she's Maurice's foxy girl, but we all adopt her because she's just a sweetie. All right, so there's just a simple little centerpiece. Now, before I get rid of this one, I do want to talk about those candles one more time. If you do actually burn these, taking those wicks down to 1/4 of an inch gives you a nice flame height. It's a much more controlled burn on your candles. Okay, hope you guys like that one. Set this out of the way. Any questions yet, Parker, that you're getting over there? On YouTube-y?
Yeah, a handful. Some people suggesting you could do like a wired pick to keep the ribbon out of the foam if you didn't want to get it wet.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, you could totally do that. I mean, that's the standard way of doing it. I just wanted to show you a different way.
Yeah, people still talking about how to do a vintage look, some traditional ornaments, you know, the color scheme and such.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So the next one I want to do a little more contemporary style of design. The last one had radial placement, central binding point. This will have a combination. This would be something we might do in the advanced class, where I'm working not only with vertical placements, vertical parallel placements, but also with some radial placements down low. And perhaps this will speak to your vintage color theme that we were talking about. So I'm going to start first by placing these peach Amaryllis. And I've already prepped the stems and the flowers, and I'm not going to cover how to do that. You're saying, but Michelle, we want to know. Well, you're going to have to wait until Tuesday, because that's Leanne's Tuesday tip for the Tulip Pro is proper care and handling and preparation of your Amaryllis. All right, so I got those babies in there. And then I was at market this morning. Had to do a cooler tour, just wandering through to see what they had. And these amazing disbud chrysanthemums, these cremons. I know, chrysanthemums, wah wah, they're like carnations. Nobody thinks they're fantastic. I love them. They're a great value. The varieties that they're coming out with anymore are just spectacular. And these disbuds are just gorgeous. I mean, what's not to love? Look at my hand. I mean, this baby's huge. So I had to bring them home. Well, my school home. Grab my knife. Give it a cut. Love that curvature in the stem there. That's a lot of fun. Got a couple of those with some curves, it looks like.
Olive Branch Farm says, those are enormous bombs. I love them and don't care what anyone says.
All right. Yes, Natalie, I'm with you on that. Let's bring back the chrysanthemum, shall we?
And then Avery said that she actually used those ones today in 3 arrangements.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I thought they look like big snowflakes or snowballs. I think we're probably used to working with the spider mum at Christmas. But I just loved, I forgot to put the filler in my centerpiece. Oh well, I had Misty for it. If we have time, I'll fill it in later. I just liked this as an option to the classic spider mum at Christmas. I just thought it had a little more pizzazz to it. So we'll tuck him down in there low. He'll play well with others. Hi. So this is a little more maybe updated or maybe vintage color harmony. You guys tell me, does this peachy, corally, pinky feel vintage, or does it feel like it's a fresh take on Christmas? I could be good either way. Is this ruscus just not ridiculous? Everything I have is on steroids today. It's just like huge ruscus and huge chrysanthemums. But, go big or go home, right?
I have a couple questions about your disc buds.
Okay.
So Roxanne wants to know, is it called a disc bud because the grower pinches off all the other buds on the stem? And then Pamela wants to know, would you take off the leaves because hers always dries out?
So first question, disc bud. Do they call it a disc bud because they remove all the others? Yes. So if you think about the types of chrysanthemums that we have spray chrysanthemums, our palms that we work with, and then we have our single standard stems, our disc buds. So on your disc bud, the grower has taken all those little laterals, those little side buds off, and forced this top one to overachieve. Now, they do grow the varieties to do that, to go that way. They select ones that have much more, a much stronger tendency to produce just a single bloom. And then, I guess I used all the dusting miller. Well, there you have it. Then to get your spray chrysanthemums, they take that top one out, which then forces those laterals to grow. It's the same with spray roses to force those laterals. If you look at your chrysanthemums when you get them, the spray mums, look into the very center at the top of the stem. Sometimes it looks like you've lost a flower, like it's broken off. It is. They've done that intentionally and removed that center bloom, that leader of the pack, to force the subordinate stems to really up their game. All right, so sparkle. Got a couple fatsia here that I hit with, a little bit of silver spray paint because 'tis the season.
Michelle Tracy has a comment for us.
Okay.
She said, so she's from Vaughn's Florist and used to not like to design in foam in Oasis, but watching our classes has given her the confidence to create beautiful centerpieces.
Oh, well, good. I can't see the camera. I'm so glad to hear that. Foam is very polarizing in today's floral world. I'm going to pop over here to that pick machine again. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people swear by it, others won't be caught dead using it. My feeling is use what suits your design. Choose the best mechanic for the design that you're working on. I'm trying to decide if I have an opinion on that. I don't, other than, choose the best mechanic for what you're doing. I tend to use more foam because, in my opinion, as predominantly an event florist, I appreciate the stability and the control that I get with foam, knowing that what I design in my studio, that's what it looks like when I deliver it, that I haven't lost something in translation getting it from the studio to the event space. So for me, that's kind of my choice as to why I prefer one over the other. But it's a Coke Pepsi thing. Some people love it, some people hate it. Some people used to love it, now they hate it. Whatever. Whatever makes you happy is what I say.
So what about the leaves on the disc buds? If they get dried, would you take them off?
If I tend to leave them on if they look good. If I have a damaged one, like here as I do my grooming, when I finish, these look really great and healthy. I would be less inclined to remove them because they do, like hydrangeas, they help them uptake water so that your flowers stay fresh and lovely longer. So I tend to leave them. And that's a personal choice for people, if you find that your product doesn't hold up as well, or you just don't like the look of it, that's okay. You do you. I tend to leave it unless it looks really damaged, like that top little dude right there looked a little damaged, so he gets to go away. All right, so got a little bit little bit of this and a little bit of that in here.
Michelle, we haven't had too many answers to your question on what styles are popular right now in different spots, but someone mentioned in, I believe near Vancouver, up in Canada, they're doing a lot more rustic stuff this Christmas.
Oh!
And we had in the SF area, they got a lot of blush tones, peachy tones for Christmas.
Oh, okay, so this is kind of in that wheelhouse then, the blushy, peachy, corally, typey, stuffy, huh? All that technical. So, speaking of, I have these very beautiful roses. Marisa, do you remember what the name is? It's
Country Home?
Country Home. Again, look at the size. So there's my hand. It's like it's the size of a baseball. It's a pretty dang good sized rose. And I'm gonna tuck these down nice and low into my arrangement, using them to base my design a little bit. So for those of you that have had advanced, you might remember basing as a technique. Bring some through to the other side, so I pull the eye through the design. And they have absolutely no fragrance, which is so disappointing, but kind of the norm anymore. Okay, we'll tuck him down in there like that. Oh, he might be a titch too long. Give him a fresh cut and tuck him back in. Well, get in there, please. There we go. All right. So, got a few of those tucked in there. And because it just doesn't have enough sparkle for me, go figure, I have some ornaments. And these already have a little wire on them. So very much the same way that I did with the other ornaments, I could take my wired wood pick and utilizing the wire that's already on there, I'm just going to wrap it around. Yeah, it's bobbling around, but once I tuck it into the design, the materials that it's next to will keep it from flopping around. I just feel like the holidays are my permission to bling the stink out of things. Parker and I were talking about Christmas trees. Was that this morning? Was that yesterday?
That was
Yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, and we both love Christmas and doing lots of Christmas decor. And I said, well, I used to do a whole bunch of trees, but now I don't really have time. And my one tree that I have up this year is the same color as the decor in my house. So yes, I did the Martha Stewart matchy thing, and maybe next year I won't, but this year that's what I did.
So Michelle, we're noticing that you're not taking off the guard petals off the roses.
Correct.
So how come sometimes you do, sometimes you don't?
Great question. So guard petals on the roses, their purpose is just that. They are there to guard the rose head. If they are not damaged, if they are not discolored, not ugly, etc., 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 I'm not going to take them off because they help to hold that rose together. So if I take off those guard petals, I'm relaxing. I would make a different analogy, but Leanne would fire me, so I'll just leave it. If I take the guard petals off, the rose head relaxes too much, in my opinion, and it tends to shorten the life. The petals start to open up and they can drop faster. So for me, I like to leave them on. I also find that they give a nice little textural contrast in a lot of cases. They add to that design. It's a personal preference. Again, that's a Coke, Pepsi, foam, no foam kind of thing. Some places, oh no, we absolutely take them off. Okay, good for you. Others are, nope, we leave them on. Okay, you do you. Whatever works for you in that instance is the right way to do it, in my opinion. I don't feel that there's a right or a wrong as far as that goes. All right, this last little ball here, I'm gonna tuck him in and thread the copper wire that's on the wood pick. I'm going to thread it through and then just hold the wire in my hand with the pick and spin. And that's tightening it up and giving me a little bit of control there. And then I can wrap that excess wire around. And this little dude is going to pick in, but hang over the edge, just to give it a little bit more movement. And I think I'll do the same on this side over here. Well, maybe not. Maybe I'll tuck that in. Who knows? We'll play with it for a second. So what's everybody's favorite color scheme for Christmas? I've asked you what seems to be selling the best, but do you have a favorite? Are you a traditional? Are you an all white? Are you an all metallic? Are you a Hallmark ornament tree with the bottle caps that the kids used in nursery school to make ornaments? I think I just dated myself there. Milk used to come in bottles with a foil cap. Never mind. Mm-hmm. Moving right along.
Michelle, Kim just wants to remind you, the more bling, the better, Michelle.
Oh yeah, you go. Team bling all the way. Yeah, there's no such thing as too much bling. That's what I tell my husband. Yes, anything in that case would be fine. All right, so there's my little, whatever you want to call it, contemporary, classic, modern, old school. Yeah, Marisa.
Okay, so I have a comment here from, hopefully they're going to listen or hear this, from San Up One. They said they will join the Flower Lovers Club when they complete the advanced course. Well, if they're in the advanced course, they are a member of the Flower Lovers Club. So if they need help logging in, they can call us and we can help them log on.
Absolutely. So to paraphrase what Marisa said, if you are in our basic or advanced program, you have free access to the Flower Lovers Club for a year. So if you aren't taking advantage of that, you need to log in and check out the resources that are there. If you are in class online and you haven't accessed it and you don't know how and you say, I don't have a password, just give us a call, shoot us an email, and we can totally set you up with that. So that's great. So Marisa, any other questions while I get a couple other goodies going here?
No, not too many questions. However, so many people are encouraging more likes. We do have 167 people watching and 66 likes.
Wow, okay.
So let's get more likes in there, people.
Yeah, let's step it up, all right? So the first design I did was, like we talked about, kind of your classic oval centerpiece, might go on the Christmas table. Whoopsie. And the second one, perhaps given its height, might not be appropriate to leave on during dinner, but you certainly could have it on your Christmas table. It would be lovely on a side table. If you had a window, it might be pretty there as well. And I forgot to add the rest of the eucalyptus. Well, I'm just forgetting things left and right. Apparently I need to write a list for live. We'll add that later. This last design, this last set I wanted to show you is suitable for your Christmas dining table, or maybe perhaps if you're having buffet style or an open house, something like that. And what I want to create is a snowball because it's winter. We were supposed to get snow in the Portland area today.
We are?
Well, they said this morning. Thankfully they didn't, because I grabbed the wrong car and didn't drive the one that had the studded tires on it. So, ruh-roh. Hopefully it doesn't snow, or I'll be staying with Marisa tonight. Move over, Foxy, big dog's coming in. So what I want to do is create a snowball, and I'm going to use carnations. Now, those of you that have taken advanced are going, I know what you're doing. Well, good for you. In the advanced course, we talk about party and event flowers and how to calculate the number of flowers that you need to do things. Now, some of us have done I just guess. Okay, guessing's great, but what happens when you guess wrong and you don't order enough? I don't know about you, but trying to get ready for a big event, I don't want to spend part of my time running around town calling wholesalers trying to get another 200, 450 stems of something, whatever it is I might be working with, in order to complete my event. So in the advanced class, we actually take you through the math of it. Now, if you've been in advanced, you don't have to tell anybody. They need to come to advanced and learn it for themselves. But I will tell you, I used that formula today to determine how many carnations it would take for me to cover this 4.5 inch orb that I pre-soaked in flower food water and prepared with some hot glue. Now you saw me wrap it with the Oasis tape, the wet tape, and that just gives it some security. You can also buy these little spheres that have netting on them already, and I had one of those too, but I prefer to use those for other things, and so I didn't. Any questions, Marisa, or are you just stretching?
I was just stretching.
Okay, you can just stretch then.
Janet pointed out that flower balls are great to use up broken stems as you do other stuff.
Yes, they are. If you have enough, and I don't know about you guys, but it just seems like at Christmas we seem to use a lot more carnations than we do other times of the year. Super long lasting, readily available, all that good stuff. Although lately, not a lot of things have been readily available. But we're very fortunate here in Portland to have a lot of wonderful wholesalers, and they have had pretty good availability, which makes it very nice. All right, so I need a few more. Oops, getting a little bit of green off my hands onto those. Now, I had already calculated, I just pre-cut all of these so you weren't sitting there watching me cut a bazillion carnation stems while we finish this off. Oh, okay, now those smell amazing. Carnations smell amazing. I love them. I love them in every color, every shape. Just my favorite. Maybe not my all-time favorite, because that's kind of like picking your favorite child, right? Those of you that are parents, you know what I mean. You have a favorite of the moment, or a favorite of the season, or just a favorite on Thursdays. Today's Wednesday, I know, we figured that out. So as I add these last few into my snowball, I've left obviously the bottom of it flat for a couple of reasons. One, it sits better than sitting it on the flowers themselves. And since I'm placing it flat on a table, there really isn't any point in flouring the bottom of it. I'm just wasting material at that point.
Is there something on the bottom of that foam that looks like it might help keep from dripping all over the place?
It is. I dipped it in pan melt glue to give myself a little waterproof foot on the bottom of it. So there's my cute little snowball. If I had about 30 of them, we could have a snowball fight. But I don't have 30 of them, and I'm not going to spend all that time making 30 of them for you. But I wouldn't necessarily do this as just a solo. I would give it some friends and try to set it up maybe as a tablescape. So let's look at that. So I'm going to grab a few little bits and bobs to add to it. Because you gotta have glitter, right? Got to have the sparkle. So I have a giant orb. It is a plastic ornament. And we've done something else with it, so the crown is off. But I need it to sit. Metallic corsage tape in red gives me just that perfect little foot for my glittered orb. Okay, so maybe these aren't snowballs. Maybe they're just ornaments. Uh-oh. Somebody had a bad day. So a couple little green ornaments. And then maybe a silver ornament worked in. Maybe a red one. Maybe we'll move him over. It's hard to do this backwards, just so y'all know.
Can you like push them closer to you? Because there's just a little bit.
Uh-huh.
There's a little bit of space between the table and the frame of the camera.
I can try. I don't want them rolling away on me. That better? Can you see them better now? Okay, good deal. That silver one is going to try and make a getaway. I can feel it right now. Well, maybe we'll just lock him into place. So same trick with these little ornaments I'm using here. They're just on a wired wood pick that I can tuck them into the other ornaments, the fresh floral ornaments, to keep them from rolling off. And then of course you have to have a little bling, right? Because it's just not enough fun unless there's bling. So a few little snowflakes.
All right, we're at 73 likes. And we're trying to get now to 75. I think that you shouldn't finish until you get 2 more.
Okay.
So Michelle's not going to finish until 2 more likes, you guys.
That's supposed to encourage people?
Yeah!
No,
Because
they're
I
gonna
want to
stick
see,
around.
and I already did my like. I want to see what that looks like. Oh,
Yeah.
74. We just need
74.
one
I need
more.
another one. I'm gonna go over here and put some eucalyptus in my other
Oh,
piece.
75.
75. Okay. They're like, God, we wanted to get off the camera, so finish already. All right. So a little bit
Oh,
more
I love it.
bling, because you gotta have
The
bling.
big one.
The big. You stay put. I knew I should have gone with an ornament, not just a glass orb. So if I break it, I'm really sorry, Leanne. So, I don't know, maybe that one will just leave him lay. Maybe he'll keep the other dude from running away. Yeah. And, you know, it's Christmas, right? Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Because we thought we'd have snow today, so I was prepared. So this might be something I would do on my Christmas buffet. If you have a kitchen island, it might be a great option. If you're doing party work, this would be lovely doing it in a round format on the center of a table. I tend to prefer unbreakable ornaments just because they're easier to transport and you don't have the investment either. So, well, we're just about out of time. If you've enjoyed today, please, please, please give it a thumbs up. Apologies to the Facebook land. Don't know what was going on with the gremlins in the internet world, but please do give us a like, give it a share. If there's a friend that you think might enjoy this, hit them up with the link to it. Next week, you'll have Marisa, and we'll have more Christmas fun. But thanks for joining us. Hope you had a fun